Welcome to the Xseed product training call. We're excited you could be here. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Tonight's topic is the incredible and amazing Xtreme. I happen to have a can right here with me. I've got to have my dose of healthy energy on these long work days. My name is Susan Nicholas. I'm the Director of Marketing and Promotions. I am pleased to introduce you to Xseed's Director of Research and Development, Dr. Leslie Jacobs. She'll be answering some of the questions you've emailed to us over the past week and giving you some great information about Xtreme. Thanks for being here, Dr. Leslie, and I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Susan. Hi, everyone. Well, welcome again, week number 2, session number 2 to Ask Dr. Leslie. I am Dr. Leslie Jacobs, and I'm calling from Xseed's corporate headquarters here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to have another great discussion today about Xseed's energy dietary supplement, Xtreme. But before we get started, and before I give you some of this great information and answer some of your questions on Xtreme, let me start by saying that the information that I'm going to be sharing with you and the statements that I'm going to be sharing with you have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. In addition to that, the information that I'll be sharing with you is not intended to be taken as medical advice, and no therapeutic or medical claims are either implied or made, so do not, I repeat, do not alter any medical treatment or the use of medication without the permission of your healthcare provider. And the FDA regulations prohibit the use of therapeutic or medical claims in conjunction with the sale of any product not approved by the FDA. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start and talk about Xseed's energy dietary supplement Xtreme, and then soon to be released Xtreme Zero. Well, Xtreme is our great tasting, and I'm going to repeat, great tasting, delicious, absolutely delicious fusion between sweet and tangy, what I kind of like to call our portable power pack. It's a beautiful blend of vitamins, adaptogen herbs, including ashwagandha, rhodiola, ginseng. We also have incorporated in taurine, glucuronolactone, tyrosine, d-ribose, and then, of course, our Xseed proprietary energy blend, delivering about 120 milligrams of natural caffeine coming from coffee bean, yerba mate extract, and green tea extract. Now, natural caffeine gives you that real gradual yet sustained source of energy without the jitters and the crash effect that you see or you get with synthetic caffeine. So many of the energy products that are on the market have a synthetic form of caffeine in there. And I repeat, there's no synthetic caffeine in Xtreme, only natural sources of caffeine, and these and there's also no guarana in our product either. So I want to make it very clear that we have natural caffeine, and it's coming from coffee bean, yerba mate extract, and green tea extract. Now, our natural caffeine blend is not the only ingredient, obviously, in Xtreme that supports and enhances a really strong, good metabolic effect. But we're going to start by basically just talking about the natural caffeine, and caffeine in general. So caffeine itself was discovered way back in, I don't know, like 1820s, but actually, when really getting into the literature, it dates back even further than that. But according to legend, Ethiopians became really quite interested in coffee after they noticed that the animals that were grazing were just in generally more energetic after they grazed on certain shrubs that we found later to be actually coffee. As of date, there have been a tremendous amount of studies, and really a lot of research has been really widely recognized and documented that caffeine in general has many favorable outcomes, including changes in metabolic rate, even fat oxidation, and even perception of physical and what we call mental energy. It also has been noted that excessive caffeine, on the other hand, can have some negative impact and can lead to jitterness and even some insomnia, which is just difficulty sleeping. So question number 1 from our friends in Northern California: what is it about caffeine or natural caffeine that gives you the energy? Well, that's a really interesting question. You know what? No one really knows. Nobody really knows if there's one specific answer to that question, because there really are, when it's all said and done, a lot and many different metabolic effects of caffeine. So it's kind of hard to sort out exactly which component is really responsible for that change in physical or mental performance or mental energy that we tend to experience after we consume something that has caffeine in it. So let me give you a real quick review on the literature that's out there. So consistent information continually confirms that caffeine in general are known to boost the effects of certain neurotransmitters in the brain. And these neurotransmitters specifically are serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine. Now, serotonin neurotransmitters generally give you a feeling of just well-being, while dopamine neurotransmitters, on the other hand, are known to affect the way you concentrate, and also is known to kind of block certain other receptors called adenosine receptors in different parts of the brain. And when they're blocked, it prevents the signal to the brain that tells it when it's time to go to bed. So you can see by blocking that how it gives you a feeling of a little bit of alertness. Now, caffeine also is known to increase catecholamines. Now, you're probably saying, well, what the heck are catecholamines? Well, one of the catecholamines that I'm sure you've heard of in the past is called adrenaline. Now, it's this adrenaline that through the certain sympathetic, what we call sympathetic nervous system, sends a specific signal to your heart to beat just a little bit faster. And then as your heart beats just a little bit faster, as a result, it subsequently then sends more blood flow to your muscles and also sends another signal or message to your liver to release a little bit of that stored sugar in your bloodstream that now is available to create cellular energy. So your cellular energy production also goes up as a result of that. Now, without getting too scientific here, and I think I've probably gotten a little too scientific for most, caffeine also helps the muscles to contract a little bit better by releasing a calcium ion, and then it has its own impact. Okay, so I've really kind of gotten into a lot of science in the science part of the question, but just understand that basically there's really no good one answer on that question. It is pretty much a multifactorial answer. There's a lot of different benefits that you'll see. So keep in mind that there's a lot of research out there recently on so many of the positive influence effects that caffeine may have, on one. So question number 2, let's see, we have here, how much caffeine in any given day is a reasonable amount to consume where it's just not too much, and does it really matter? Well, that's a good question. Okay, well, research has shown that how much caffeine one consumes actually does make a difference, and it does matter. Too much of a good thing, I always say, too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. So excessive caffeine actually can lead to palpitations, so you feel like your heart's racing way too fast. You can get jitters, you get shakiness, you even can get excessive insomnia, which means you're just having trouble sleeping. It's also been associated with some excessive bone loss in women who overconsume caffeinated products. So let me start by saying that anyone who has been advised by their healthcare professional to not consume caffeinated products should not be consuming caffeinated products. But with that being said, there's a lot of research that suggests that it's safe to consume between 1.3 to 2.7 milligrams of caffeine for every pound of body weight you are. So what does that mean? Well, as an example, let's say you just have a 100-pound person. They could safely consume between 130 milligrams of caffeine to 270 milligrams of caffeine in a given day. Now, how much caffeine that you have per day is really a personal decision, a personal choice, as with so many other decisions that we have to make in our own lives. But keep in mind that research does not have all of the answers, but just self-awareness of the benefits and also the downsides is always the best approach to take with so many of the decisions that we make for ourselves in any given day. So we have about 120 milligrams, so it really falls in a really very, very safe amount of natural caffeine in Xtreme. It's equal to about 2 cups of good coffee, and we suggest a maximum of about 2 cans per day because we also have other adaptogen herbs in there and vitamins that's also included in Xtreme. So question number 3. Its question is, how do you know if other products on the market are putting synthetic caffeine or natural caffeine in their products? So it appears we're having a lot of questions on caffeine and natural caffeine. And then the second part of that question is it required to put it on the label? Well, food regulatory agencies basically require that caffeine must be listed on all package labels, but they do not, and I repeat, do not require an indication of whether that caffeine is coming from a natural source or laboratory synthetic source. So most people are not quite sure what caffeine in the product they're consuming, what's in it. Is it synthetic? a laboratory synthetic caffeine source, or is it natural caffeine? So most products that they take, they have absolutely no idea. So we make it very clear, and I want to make it very clear, that our source of caffeine, and I know I've said this more than once, but it's real important because that's what makes us unique than many other products out there. It's coming from natural caffeine derived from coffee bean, yerba mate extract, and green tea extract. Now, natural caffeine found in several herbs is known by a different name. Basically, they call it biocaffeine. Bio meaning alive or living, and examples of herbs with biocaffeine include yerba mate, as I mentioned, it's in ours, green tea, which is in ours, cola nuts, which we do not have, coffee bean extract, which we do, or coffee bean, and guarana. We do not have guarana in our product. So you know the three sources that we've got: coffee bean, yerba mate extract, and green tea extract. So that's another really good question. Question number 4. There's another question on natural caffeine. How does natural caffeine give you a more gradual yet sustained source of energy without the crash or the jitters? Well, for instance, like coffee beans, as a whole, it doesn't separate very easily, meaning the caffeine aspect of it is not easily separated from the rest of its molecular structure, which includes more of a fibrous membrane. And as a result, because of that fibrous membrane, the absorption of it tends to be a little slower in onset. And if you get a slower in onset, you get less of the jitters, and then you get less of that sudden increase because of the slower absorption, and as a result, less of a sudden crash. So the same holds true for green tea extracts and yerba mate extracts. You get more of a gradual yet sustained source of energy and mental clarity without the inevitable jitters and crash that you see with so many other products out there on the market that have the synthetic laboratory caffeine. Okay, so let's move off of natural caffeine and all the benefits of it, clearly associated over the laboratory synthetic caffeine, because there's more to Xtreme than just the natural caffeine. And that now leads us into the next question, question number 5. So here we go. Dr. Leslie, you've mentioned several times about certain adaptogen herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola, and ginseng, and that we happen to have in Xtreme. And what does an adaptogen herb really mean? Well, the actual definition of adaptogens or adaptogenic plants or herbs, like ginseng or ashwagandha or rhodiola, basically refers to a group of herbs that help the body fight stress by reducing the production of these stress-related hormones that results in what we call the fight or flight response that occurs innately when we are exposed or faced with any form of danger or stress. So there's some benefits of adaptogens and how it increases the body's natural resistance to stress. That's hence the name adaptogens. Allows us to adapt better to some of the stressful situations that we are exposed to or faced on a regular daily basis. So our next question is question number 6. I've heard so many types of ginseng. There's so many different types of ginseng out there. What kind is in Xtreme? Well, we have Panax ginseng root extract at 120 milligrams. So don't confuse Panax ginseng with American ginseng or Siberian ginseng, or even for that matter, Panax pseudo ginseng. We have Panax ginseng, and Panax ginseng has really been used for hundreds and hundreds of years as a really good adaptogen, which has been known to help, like I mentioned earlier, cope with stress, and as a general tonic for just general well-being. So I get asked very frequently, what's the difference between the Panax, and is there a difference between Panax ginseng, American ginseng, and Siberian ginseng? And the answer is yes. So question number 7, what are some of the benefits that we have in